Hey, guys, so I'm live again because I'm waiting on results. It's been so hard because, as we all know, I am not presenting typically. I'm not presenting. My brain scan didn't show that I had a week and a half ago the CT scan, which is not an MRI and is not as sensitive for certain things as an MRI, didn't show, of course, any tumors or anything that was hugely awry. So that's why when I went to the neurologist, he said it's a functional neurologic disorder. It was caused by a viral illness back in January, in all likelihood, and it's causing your brain to misfire, which gives you seizures and gives you, facial spasms and makes it hard for you to talk sometimes. That said, and he said, you do have a CSF leak, and it leaks, it's only leaking a little bit, so it'll heal over time. But the problem is that over the last 3 days, I've gotten progressively worse again. My temperature has spiked, so they took my temperature at the hospital. It's 100.5. So they're concerned about that. They even took my rectal temperature, which is no fun, which is 38. So 38, I think, is like 100. So that's not good. And I tried to explain to them that I get stabbing head pains, and then I get confused, and I can't speak as well as you guys have seen, that sometimes I like babble and whatnot. And then when the fluid drains, then I get some degree of relief. Though today it's the classic, I get a spike in temperature, and I can barely see. Okay, that's better. I get a spike in temperature, and then I get more of those convulsions, which they call, here they have it written down that it's pseudo seizures. And so when I saw the ER doc, he at first listened to me, but then when he went and read the notes, he's like, I'm 99% sure this is somatization, that it's psychosomatic or psychological. And it's so horrible to repeatedly be told that something that is wrong with you, that is clearly wrong with you, is psychological when it's clearly not. How do you explain my temperature? And then he's like, well, you had a bunch of those convulsions, so maybe that's why your temperature went up. I'm like, no, the temperature went up before I had the convulsions. Also, this has been me getting gradually worse since January. I only started the involuntary facial movements on July the 31st. I then started the seizures the next day. Or maybe it was before that, actually. Sorry, I'm even forgetting that. It was actually the week before July 31st. So whatever the week was before, the Saturday before I'd started the face, and then I got the seizures all week, and then I left the Jewish hospital, and I still had the facial spasms, which you guys saw caught on, I broadcast in front of the hospital saying, I know this means that I'm gonna get another seizure. Just like right now, it's happening again. So, so then I've since then, I briefly felt like last week I got more of a burst of energy, and I try to capitalize on it as best I could, to make videos and to trust. He's like, okay, if it's just something misfiring in my brain, it'll go away, and maybe this will heal over time. But on Friday night when I was broadcasting, I started to get worse, and I've been kind of worse and worse all weekend. And then today my temperature spiked the highest it's been in a while. And so we came here, and so the doctor's saying that to me. I'm like, but listen, I clearly have a leak. That's what the other doctor said. He's like, that's impossible. I'm like, it's not impossible. It's what the other doctor said, and I know because I'm experiencing it. And he's like, well, that's exactly what someone with somatization would say, but I'm not somatizing. I have no reason to be sick. I have no desire to be sick. I have, in a very linear way, gotten worse since January because nobody's treated me for anything other than giving me pills that I didn't need to restore my mood, because for a while, because I've had brain inflammation for so long, my mood was not my mood, but my anxiety was worse. Now my anxiety is better. There's no anxious component to this, but I'm getting my, whatever they are, non-epileptic seizures. I'm getting spikes of temperature. I get confused and I babble. I feel like I'm drunk some of the times, and then the pressure relieves off of my head. And now I'm back in the period of where I'm more coherent. I'm still not 100%. Like, I feel nauseous. I'm getting the pain right in here. And I tried to explain to him, but it was so hard to be like, I just need a doctor that sits down with me and goes through everything I've been through step by step and believes me. And I tried to call back my neurologist, but he can't see me for 3 months. And his office called me back and said that you should go to the hospital if you can't wait. And I was like, I don't want to go back to the hospital because they're not going to treat this properly because I need to see a neurologist. I don't need to see the ER. The ER will need to refer me to another neurologist. So I was trying to beg them, like, is there anybody else that can see me? Because it's been this ping pong ball of like, this is what's wrong with you. But if it gets worse, go there. And then I go to the ER and they're like, go back home or go back to your neurologist. And the neurologist is like, I can't see you for 3 months. And so it's like, do I sit with stabbing headaches and slurred speech and knowing with my soul? And I have complete insight and I'm 100% accurate that I get the buildup of pressure in my head and the stabbing, get all confused. And then when it drains, I get briefly better, and then the cycle repeats. I can even make the fluid drain by staring up at the sky, and it drips down the back of my throat. And they just have to test for it. They have to scan and see where the leak is. They also probably should do a lumbar puncture, which they have not done. I have no desire to be sick. I have never enjoyed being sick. I have done everything recently to try to work and get better, and I'm not being believed. I'm not being taken at face value, and it is psychologically injurious to keep going through this because as you guys know, I was doing everything to try to like be positive and upbeat and just work, and maybe this is just me withdrawing from the final medication I'm on. Maybe the hole will just heal. Maybe I'll look normal again. Maybe I'll feel, and no, I'm not getting better. I am getting worse. And I need a doctor and a team of doctors to sit down, believe every symptom that I tell them, and figure it out, because I can't figure it out on my own. And if they can't figure out, can you guys help me somehow find a doctor that can figure this out? Because you can even see, you guys know me, I don't look well. I look sick. This is not how I looked. In December. And my eyes are raccooned, they're all dark. I have these little red dots that are all over my body that they keep brushing off, but I started getting them in January, and I get more and more of them. And yes, well, the doctors are with Miguel. Okay, I have to go. Hold on. Come in. Oui.
Est-ce qu'il a ramassé le cabaret?
Non.
Non, le cabaret, il est ramassé. Oui. OK.
Sorry, I had to answer the question. They were asking if my dinner tray was taken away. I'm so very tired. I am the most honest, thorough, and credible person on the planet, yet I'm being treated as if I am not credible. And doctors fall back on the assessments of previous doctors, and I'm not presenting typically, which makes this worse. So sometimes I can talk, sometimes I can't. My eyes are still, they're basic neurological tests, follow my finger, touch your finger to your nose, walk in a straight line. I for the majority of the time, I pass that. So they're confused, and it sucks because I'm not getting any better. And I wouldn't be here if I was getting better. I fought very hard today to try to say to my neurologist, I wrote him an email, and the office got it, and I said, listen, I'm not getting better. Even if I accepted the functional neurologic disorder diagnosis, there's something clearly still wrong with me, and I know it. And it's like sometimes you have to keep repeating yourself till somebody believes you and somebody figures it out. And if I could heal myself, I would, but I can't. It's not because I don't have a great attitude. It's not because I'm not getting any sleep. Yes, I know the FND website does not explain this. It does not explain the buildup of pressure in my head and the garbled speech, and then me getting the fluid dripping down my nose. That is not explained by functional neurologic disorder. By the way, I'm getting a pain right here, right now. That is explained by literally there being something organic. It's not functional neurologic disorder. Or if it is, whatever's causing it is still present because it hasn't gotten better. I am not better. And functional neurologic disorder is so abstract as a concept in a way. It's what they kind of just, it's almost like a garbage bin of like, if you have symptoms that we can't explain, well then we're just gonna put it here. I mean, the doctor today is like, well, maybe this is caused, your dystonia is caused by the olanzapine they had you on. And he said, your olanzapine. It's not my olanzapine. It was never my olanzapine. It was forced upon me. And I never needed it. You know, that's the worst part. Oh, so bad. This is so bad, guys. And it doesn't make sense that my dystonia would have gotten this bad in a way. Like, I mean, it probably was made worse by the olanzapine. I don't doubt that. But normally this doesn't happen to someone who hasn't taken that high of a dose, you know? When today? What about it? Get a CT there. Or I already had a CT 2 weeks ago. What I need is I need another MRI, probably with contrast, to look for a leak in my sinuses, and I probably need a lumbar puncture, but they have to know what they're looking for. I don't want willy-nilly tests. And the fact that they think that he won't let me finish speaking, that he presumes I'm not credible, that if I show any emotion whatsoever, that means I'm hysterical. And also I'm expected to be fully cogent and like deal with this efficiently when my brain is clearly inflamed. So I have to be perfect even when I'm at my worst, and I'm literally at their mercy. And they don't trust me. They see anything to do with anxiety or psychiatry, and they're like, oh, it's all that. That's impossible. Like, even though they are not going with the diagnosis that I got from the other neurologist, they have to get that information transferred. And I didn't go to the hospital that's affiliated with that neurologist, because when I went there last time, as you guys saw on my live stream, they treated me like garbage and told me I could stop my seizures when I couldn't. I couldn't stop my seizures. I couldn't stop my head pains. I couldn't make my body temperature go down. So I know in my heart of hearts they haven't figured this out. It's just, how do I find the person who's going to figure this out before it's too late? Guys, how? How? Oh, okay, that's what you sent me. Sorry, I can't see all your chats. You know what? It's only allowing me to scroll up so far, so I lose your chats after a certain point. Yes, I already went to the FND Hope website. I already know, and they're misdiagnosing me as having FND, I think. I don't think I have FND. I truly believe that there's something going on neurologically with an underlying cause that they have not figured out yet. I want to believe I have FND, but that doesn't explain me getting seizures. It doesn't explain the lack of improvement. I can't go to websites right now because I'm live streaming, and it'll shut down the stream if I exit, and I shouldn't burn through my battery too much. Do you guys have any ideas? Because I'm doing what you normally are supposed to do. We're taught to trust doctors. If you're sick, go to the hospital. But they don't prepare you for if you're sick and you go to the hospital and then they can't figure out pretty simply what it is. And if it's not simple, they're going to start treating you like it's all in your head. Or they'll do investigations, but if they don't line up, like the doctor's like in such a patronizing way trying to say, these aren't epileptic. And I was like, I never said they were, but these seizures aren't epileptic. You're going to be the first person that defies 150 years of medical evidence. And I didn't even say that that's what I wanted him to say. Like, I didn't even bring that up. I was like, no, it's just that I'm having these convulsions of whatever nature. They're non-epileptic, but they're clearly seizures. I'm not currently suffering from psychological trauma. I have been positive. My mood is not bad, but I get these confused spells with stabbing pain in my head. The stuff drips from my nose, and then I briefly go back, and it waxes and wanes throughout the day. I don't know how much longer I have, guys, either, because I keep getting worse and nobody's figuring it out. Nobody. And if I were to sit down and go, this is what's happened, it was this, followed by this, followed by this, followed by this, and now this is where we're at, and this is what the medication that I am withdrawing from, this is my current mental state, and how, in terms of like, whether or not I'm confused, how much my head hurts, how much my spine hurts today, by the way, my lower spine is really hurting on my lower back, my mid-back spine is hurting as well. I also have some sort of swollen lymph node at the back of my skull that keeps stabbing. It's that I also live in a province wherein they are notoriously very difficult. Quebec is not the nicest province in Canada for certain things. They're culturally, they like to dish a lot of attitude, and I also have to deal with things not being lost in translation. That they understand my tone of voice, or they understand, and they don't have a background on me as a human being, and I wish they did, because they would clearly see that what they think I am is not what I am. And I was horribly misdiagnosed at the Jewish, unfortunately. I was in such a bad state, though, in March, when I had increased anxiety, but I kept knowing it was something neurological, and that one psychiatrist messed it up for me. And I was naive. I didn't know the dangers of the drug that I would be put on. I didn't know that all of that would follow me. Also, just the fact that, though, even if it followed me, the fact that they haven't found any evidence on one CT scan, but they haven't done a lumbar puncture, they haven't tested the fluid dripping out of my nose, which I wish they would have done by now, because then if I proved it was cerebral spinal fluid, then we'd start to get somewhere, instead of me saying, I need you to believe me. And I even said that to the doctor. He's like, that's exactly what someone with somatization would say. I need you to believe me. It's like, what am I? But I know that I'm not, this is not me somatizing. It's so incredibly far-fetched. Somatization does not cause fevers. It does not cause fevers. It does not cause red pinpoint rashes all over your body, which they keep blowing off, which they shouldn't. My period, I haven't gotten my period in 2 months. I'd like that to be explained. Well, they'll be like, oh, you're going through menopause. Well, I'm a little bit young to be going through menopause. It's a mess what I'm going through. It's an absolute mess and an absolute nightmare. And then it's like, oh, well, you looked okay on that video. It's like, well, no, if for 5 seconds I looked okay on a video, then I must be okay. It's like, no, I'm not okay. They're bungling this because all they have to do is take me at face value. That's all they have to do, and listen to my symptoms and figure it out. That's it. That's all they have to do. I know I'm debating to go with the, now I'm going to have speech problems. I'm debating going to Toronto. This is because the gaga. I'm debating going to Toronto because it's not working out here. And I can't get my files fixed, and everybody's overburdened and overworked, and specialists are overbooked, and I have to call back again the neurologist office again. I can't do anything. I can't fight back. They don't even believe me. You guys know me better than they do. To them, I'm just a quickly differentiated, quickly achieved differential diagnosis based on one CT scan and very basic neurologic exams. They have their mind made up, so it's like, it doesn't matter if I break a fever. It doesn't matter if I have dystonia. It doesn't matter if I have uncontrollable convulsions or myoclonic jerks, which I also have. It doesn't matter to them. And like, if I end up getting worse and then I die, I hope that this lives on. And you figure out the number of hospitals I went to that got it wrong, because a lot of them got it wrong. And that neurologist I saw, he was great. And he said I had the CSF leak, but now I can't get a hold of him or see him for 3 months. So what do I do? You know, as I'm getting worse and feverish and convulsing and babbling incoherently, do I just sit at home? Like, that doesn't seem to make sense to me. Yes, it's true, Air Jeff. I can travel probably at this point in a car. I can't take a plane. I don't even trust that the plane wouldn't hurt my head, right? Because I've got something wrong with the pressure inside my head. Sucks. Sucks so much. If anybody can help me, please help me. I've said this a million times. I got sick with a viral illness or an illness I can't even say it's viral, in January. I was delirious when I first got it. I did have a sinus infection at the point that lasted like 6 months. I was blowing pus out of my nose, and I also had a temperature every day for like 4 or 5 months. So it kept waking me up at night. I kept waking up at night to go to the bathroom after I got this flu with a pounding heart. Gradually, the pounding heart went away, but I got interrupted sleep. I could sleep. I had a harder and harder time. I never slept a full night. I haven't slept a full night. Although recently I started sleeping a little bit longer. I have had a couple nights that were more like 8 hours of sleep. But that was after I took the azithromycin that I put myself on, and maybe the azithromycin is wearing off and there's a bacterial component to this, I don't know. But anyhow, so I gradually lost the ability to sleep through the night. I gradually got more anxious. I started forgetting things like names, my multiplication tables. I started dropping things involuntarily from my left hand. I finally got hospitalized in psychiatry. At first, she was considering that there was something in my brain, but after one CT scan, she slapped me with this diagnosis of anxiety and somatization. I then got let out. I then developed involuntary movements, although I was having a few of them before in the hospital. Aside from dropping things from my left hand, I would, my hands would move weirdly, and you guys have seen it since that I get involuntary movements with my hands. And then I had started getting these full body jerks, especially at night. They're called myoclonic jerks, and a lot of muscle pain. My tendons started shortening in my wrists. Now my tendon has shortened further in my right wrist. Then after that, I got more and more anxiety, and I got cut off from my personality. I couldn't feel happy. I couldn't feel sad. I went back to the hospital, got hospitalized again in psychiatry. They started aggressively treating the anxiety. Finally, they ended up on the idea that it's functional neurologic disorder, but psychiatric, and were treating me like I could control my seizures and my facial spasms when I couldn't. They didn't bother looking when, sending me to a neurologist when I said I'm dripping this fluid from my nose, and every day I'm getting these horrible stabbing headaches. Finally got out, and then that's when, since then, almost every day I get seizures, those pseudo seizures or non-epileptic seizures. I'm still babbling and have aphasia in spurts. I again got a temperature of like over 100 today, and more seizures, and now I have spine pain. Whenever I have a stabbing headache, I get more confused and out of it and disoriented, and I have problems speaking. But then when the fluid drains, I'm able to talk again. And then when my temperature goes down, like right now, I'm a little bit more coherent, but I'm not 100%. Have I made sense? Because it's such a long story, and I'm sure I've missed parts of it. I'm sure I have. And, I'm here alone waiting. I'm probably going to be hospitalized overnight. I hope that the notes that were written on the file were sufficient. I hope that whatever doctor I see again, I can convince them to listen to me. I hope they can test my nasal fluid to see if it's CSF like the doctor said, but I'm pretty convinced and almost 100% sure that it is. I need to have them explain to me why I get aphasia and why I look so sick, because I am so sick and they haven't figured it out, and they might not. So can anyone out there on the internet help diagnose me? What causes probably what was a pressure buildup in my head, which led to there being a tear, which led to the fluid draining down through my nose? What's continuously producing this excess cerebrospinal fluid, which then makes me get all dazed and confused and weirded out, and then it's relieved once the pressure goes down, and then also causes dystonia, convulsions, myoclonic jerks, involuntary movements, confusion, and spikes in body temperature, and a red pinpoint rash. Come on, internet, figure this out. Someone suggested NMDA or NMDA receptor encephalitis, but I would have a weird case of it because I'm not as incapacitated as most women are when they get it, because it's largely women, and it's largely because you have an ovarian tumor or a tumor somewhere that's making your body have an autoimmune reaction. Oh, that hurts. And I don't want it to take me getting brain damaged until they figure it out. Nobody's done a lumbar puncture, so for them to say there's nothing going on, they have no proof. There's no data. There's none. The only thing they have is an MRI from May, an EEG from April, a CT scan from recently. They have no other recent data. They were supposed to do a 24-hour EEG, but that got shelved. That's involuntary too. And I have central serous retinopathy in my right eye. That's confirmed by a retinal scan. There's fluid at the back of my right eye. Are they going to figure this out, guys? So I'll go to Toronto if I have to. Because if they're not going to treat me here, and they're going to treat me like I'm a head case instead of a neurology patient, then I have no choice but to leave and find help, because I refuse to just give up and die, because they would have me give up and die. Or get very sick, or get brain damaged, or get worse. If it's not die, they would have me give up and get worse. And I think that that's a fate that no one should have to endure. Anyone? Sure, Thomas, right away. Share this on boards that deal with medical mysteries. Contact that journalist, that woman, that doctor that deals with diagnosing rare cases that don't make sense. Because I'm a rare case that doesn't make sense, and I'm not getting better, even with trying the therapies that they've suggested. Also, disproving the theory that this is psychological. I tried psychiatric drugs. Did they make me better? No. I've gotten only progressively worse since I went on them, and now I'm going off of them. Or I went off the majority of them. I'm just weaning off the remainder of. It's a show that I believe is on Netflix. She's not a journalist. She's a doctor, and I think it's called Undiagnosed or Misdiagnosed or something. Surely there's a board on Reddit that can figure stuff out. This is so painful. Collaborate in the comments section, My hair is looking rather, another thing since it's looking a little bit weird, a little thinned. My memory, short-term memory is shot. I feel right now like I'm in kind of a daze. I just have to be seen by a team that wants to take their time with me and properly investigate and diagnose me. That's all that this is going to take. That's it. So simple. My head hurts so much. Oh. Okay, guys, I'm gonna go. So, internet, do your magic. Figure out what is wrong with me and save Davison. I tried using the hashtag Save Davison before. Feel free to use it. Feel free to get them to figure out what the hell's going on. What my hearing, well, I get fluid leaking from my ears, and when I swallow, my left ear now comes unblocked, as if there's like a pressure differential in it. For a while, I wasn't hearing or tasting as well as I used to. My sense of taste has returned. My sense of smell has returned. But when I swallow, this ear blocks, and then it unblocks. And then again, sometimes fluid leaks, but most of my fluid's leaking through my right nostril or down the back of my throat. If I lift up my head, right now I can feel pain right here. It's all right here. I can feel it flowing down the back of my throat, and it burns like it's salty because it's cerebral spinal fluid. Ah. Oh. Okay, so figure this out, someone, because I don't want to get more disabled and die. Please.